I know I posted a Patomba video earlier today, but I noticed it's been a month since I did an update video, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll make it quicker than the other ones because I think, I mostly have the same stuff. I'll just show kind of progress on the growth. So the indoor plants are doing well. These are those Glaziovianas, the Cabeludos, however you pronounce that. Cabeludao with a umlaut over the A, or whatever that little wiggly line is. Um, these are like they're the same thing, but they're just like a larger fruited variety. I think it's larger fruit, larger seed. Um, so we're just growing them to see what they look like. They have like a broader, shorter leaf, as I understand. I have a giant crystal that's uh, Tribaticaba that's finally popping up. It was just a slow starter. Chama seeds from my Chama. Pop those in there. So we've got another late blooming Glazioviana in there too. The Cuspidatas are doing good. This Glazioviana hasn't sprouted yet. We've got a really, really, really tiny Cuspidata that popped up, but I wonder if there's something special about that because it looks a little bit different than the rest, but it also might just be a runt. So we'll see. There's a couple of Anthropophagas in here that are still inside, but I'm going to move outside. And actually, I'm plant sitting for my mom. She's in Turkey for a tango festival right now. So there's a couple of star fruits, long on, I think some loquats in there. So I'm just watering her seedlings for her while she's gone. Let's see. Been growing a pineapple. I need to water these peppers real quick. Let's do this live because they seem to be a little dry. The funny thing about peppers in Florida is, they say you can plant peppers in full sun, but not in Florida. This is what happens when they get like that. They need a lot of water, but if you give them too much water, they start turning yellow. But anyways, we got some more chocolate bubblegum peppers coming in on that guy. But showing off the more rare seedlings in here. Actually, I successfully rooted one of those finger lime cuttings. Doing pretty good. All these Burkhartianas are doing fantastic, even though this one didn't get eaten, but this one and this one got a little eaten by the worms. These Luke's Garcinias are looking pretty good. This one's looking a little chlorotic, but it gave us nice big leaves. I'm not too worried about that. But these are both grafted. These Pinia Coronata Otto Anderson. I think it's a Coronata. That's what it says on Bellamy's website. It's the Asukana. I've got, what is it? This one looks like it's about to push out branches or push out some growth, but these three are popped in. These two are a little bit late. I'm feeling it's still a little moist. I'll water that a little bit later. They're coming in good. Let's see. I've been pulling up random pigeon peas that have been popping up in the yard because I just walk around with I've been using pigeon peas as like green mulch, and the seeds kind of get everywhere, and then you start seeing them pop out. So one thing I found is you can actually just pop them out of the ground and pot them up, and they come back pretty quickly. And then you can give them to your family and friends or whatever, and make them deal with it too. But yeah, so my seedling corner here, like all these are just reds that have popped up from my mother tree over there, which is flowering again. They're just such a good plant to have. But I've got there's a Chama in there from from the seed that I got. There's some Sabras in here too, and I think I have a red crystal that I wanted to see how well the seedling would do in the sunlight, and it's doing all right. Maybe I thought it looked a little burnt up, but it's not burnt up at all. It's got twisty leaves. I'm not sure. There's something special about that one. I don't know if it's neglect or or something else, but I mean it looks really nice and dark green. So I don't know. There's a sugar apple seedling in there as well. So all that's doing pretty good, progressing nicely. The warm weather helps a lot. They just grow very quickly, even though it's been very dry and hot. If you keep them, feed them a little bit of water, they tend to thrive. This is the I've already forgotten the Campo Ramon. Yeah. So this is the one I got from. Oh my god, I'm forgetting names right now. John Travis Morton. So it was kind of root bound in the pot, and as soon as I potted it up, gave it some fresh soil, it has just been exploding with growth, and it's got a really nice color to it. Kind of reminds me of the Anomaly a little bit. Rosa de Pescosco, or Pescos, is kind of a funny one. It doesn't really seem to grow too much, but I did put it in a bigger pot sooner, so it might just be developing a lot of roots. I mean, it's still green. It's pushed out some new growth here and there. Let me see. I see some little buds coming in right there, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, all this stuff is doing really well. The scarlet, this really good looking red seedling is just. This is the same age as all the other ones, but it looked nicer, so I've been treating it better, so it looks better and bigger. The Anomaly is slamming out some growth. All these different Eugenias and various Pinias in here are doing really well. The Orianas they seem to have outgrown getting burnt up. They're doing really well now that they're a bit bigger. The Patanga tuba flowered heavily again, so we'll see if it sets fruit. Now, I know someone on the forums was saying that I was lucky to get fruit set just having one plant. But I suspected, because the Patomba was flowering at the same time, they may have cross-pollinated, because we do have critters in here flying around, even though we're caged in. They get in when I open and close the doors. They may, like flies, will probably get on it and pollinate. So the Patomba is not flowering now, so we'll see if this sets any fruit. If it doesn't set fruit, then I might have some Patomba tuba hybrid seedlings. But here's what my red hybrid is looking like right now. Just loaded all the way down to the bottom, and it just flowered again too, so it looked pretty impressive yesterday. So there's going to be even more fruit set coming in. What else? Strigipes doing really well right there. It's pushing out some new growth. My yellow Grumichon did the same thing, just pushing out new growth. I got these Barbados cherries for my mom. She'll be planting those as a hedge. The other thing, I haven't talked about this too much, but I planted these miracle fruit from seed like 3 years ago, and they just grew so slow. But it seems like once they got to this size, they've just been going crazy. Like they're really starting to get big. They haven't flowered or fruited for me at all, but I'm guessing maybe next year they might. But got some mango seedlings. I'm pretty sure they were turpentine. I did eat the fruit on. They were like these like round, fibrous, like really sweet mangoes, but I'm going to be using these for rootstock to back up my mangoes out there. Yeah, these are just some regular old Suriname cherries, black sapote, strawberry guavas in here. They're doing all right. Let's go back out here. I've been slowly giving away my star fruits to friends and family. Not a big fan, but I wanted to try growing them, and it turns out they're pretty dang easy. But here, we'll start from this side this time. We'll go into the front first. The passion fruit is just going crazy. It's actually loaded with fruit. I think I showed this before, but yeah, they're all hidden in there, but they're big fat ones. The purple possum. Orinoco bananas pushing out a flower. It's pretty cool. Got some ginger popping up in there. But let's go this way around. Pigeon peas, I need to harvest these things. I get a little crazy. And this June plum is just getting tall and not making fruit. Not sure why, but we got this Patanga tube up here too. This is from Flying Fox Fruits, one of his seedlings that I bought from him, and hasn't set fruit yet, but it's been flowering. We'll see if it sets on its own here. But this thing's in full sun, it gets blasted. I've got a Eugenia in here. I think this is the Piriformis. It got like nuked by the sun, so I put this strawberry guava to block the like heavy afternoon sunlight from it. This strawberry guava in the ground's going crazy. And then let's go over here. So this cherry of the Rio Grande, I cut. It was getting really tall, so I chopped it back down to about 8 foot. Made a couple of fruit this year. Got some papayas in here. There's a jackfruit seedling in there somewhere. It's doing really well. Key lime right here. These papayas. Oh, there's a snake in there. This Grimmel is doing well. It's starting to push out some new growth on this side over here. Let's see if I can get it without getting over there. Oh. Let's see. Yeah, I swear it's pushing out new growth. Let's see. Got some peaches on the peach tree. I picked a whole bunch of them today. These are the Tropic Snow. I know someone talked about them on the forum, but they're not like super big, but they're really good, and they got a tiny pit. And so I got these Scarlet Beauty plums, which they're all right. If you like sour, they're pretty good. And then I got this directly sown red jabuticaba. So this is kind of a experiment. Oh, here's the new growth on the Grimmel. It's looking good. But this is kind of an experiment. And this is I want to say it's about a year in the ground now. Maybe a year and a half. I can't remember. I have to go back and check the videos. But they're doing really well since I chopped this tree back here. And getting a bit more sunlight, and you know, in the summer the sun kind of shifts more here because the sun is that way. So I think as it gets older, it gets taller, get more sun, but it's doing really well. Like, I don't water it. I've given it a little bit of fertilizer, but I don't even think I needed that. So come around this side. Can't see my phone because it's so bright. But here's the Groomy Chama, looking good. I've got a Ruby Supreme guava that's just like loaded. Hopefully I don't get fruit fly issues this summer. Usually the fruits I get over the winter, they don't have fruit fly in them, but I'll have to bag these up pretty soon. My little native habitat over here is doing fantastic. These blazing stars just do so good in the direct sunlight, and it's beautiful when they pop out. We've got a goldenrod here as well that just kind of, they'll die back and then they'll come back and have like beautiful like yellow foliage all the way up and down it, but they're doing pretty all over here, completely unattended. Here's some of those pigeon peas I was talking about. You can just kind of like, let me see, yeah, you can just pull them out, get the roots, and pot them up, or put them somewhere else, which is probably what I'll do. But this Julie mango is pushing out some new growth. I picked all the fruit off of it because it's a little tiny guy. But kind of the idea for this thing is get a lot of hot sunlight on this side of the house, and it just gets really wrecked. So yeah, Julies, they tend to be more bushy. I know they're known as like a dwarf mango. No mangoes are truly dwarf, but they have just different growing tendencies. But the idea is that I'll keep it, you know, I want to kind of fill in this area here between this orange tree and the AC unit, and have a lot more shade up on the house. Here's the directly sown jackfruits. They're doing pretty dang good. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, actually. I'm thinking maybe they'll just kind of graft themselves together as they get bigger. Maybe I should cull kind of the weaker looking ones. I don't know what I want to do yet. If anyone has any opinions, please let me know. This fig tree is going crazy. This is a celestial fig. All the new growth is loaded. I think I got to prune this back a little harder. From what I understand, you get most of your fruiting on the new growth, so maybe I'll do some research and prune it back a little hard. But you do get figs on the old growth, and they're really good. They taste like very sweet strawberries. This persimmon came back pretty strong this year. This is an Ichikaki Keijiro non-astringent variety. No flowers, so I don't get to try the fruit. But I only planted it last year. It's still a twig, so it probably really couldn't support it anyways. But my Sabra is in the ground, as I mentioned before. It's doing good. It's a little paler because it's in the sunlight. Like it used to be under the lanai, and that full screen actually give you a little bit of UV protection in there. It's a little cooler, but then I put it out here all of a sudden, then summer hit, so it's been struggling a little bit, but nothing a little bit of water can't fix. I've been just misting it to cool it down, but if it was raining like normal, it wouldn't be an issue. But I'm just waiting for the roots to really establish, because it was kind of a tight root ball. But it does, I think it is starting to get established, because I'm starting to see, I think I'm seeing new growth. Where is it at? Let's see. Yeah, here's some new growth on these tips, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Red finger lime, green finger lime, spiky death traps for anyone who tries to get in our windows. But they've got a lot of scale on them. But they did set fruit earlier in the year on the lower branches. I've seen them flowering. Like the green one was flowering yesterday. But I think maybe next year, it'll probably explode and have a whole bunch. Because I've seen people who do have them, they're just like loaded with fruit. But I don't water those or fertilize those either. This Guaibiju, doing fantastic. This thing is taking full sun. It's not even burnt. Like, I guess there's some burn on these leaves, but I'm not even sure why. Like, that's the only, I guess there's some down there. Maybe that's bug damage. But this thing is just a champion. Like, it has taken the heat. I don't know what the fruit tastes like. We're going to find out, hopefully, but it looks really pretty, too. Like, just look at depending on how you look at it, the foliage kind of changes color, and this, like the new growth has like a ultramarine kind of sheen to it. It's not like ultramarine colored, but it's like that same kind of, like depending on how you look at it. What was that? Pearlescent, I think is the right color or term, right? Where it's shiny depending on the angle. But yeah, the Suriname cherry looks like crap, but I don't water this thing at all, and I'm not a big fan of it, so I'm not going to take too much care of it. But let's see, this Carolina Reaper is doing really good. There's actually a Reaper on it right now. Look at that, classic. Let's see, Rollinia looking pretty good. It's been putting out a whole bunch of new growth since I put it in the ground. Yeah, we'll see how it does. No, I'm hoping it gets taller than the Jaboticaba a lot more quickly. I'll probably have to start pruning it up and shaping it so that it has a bit more branches. Let's see. There is a seedling lemon in here. It's just from a Meyer lemon, and yeah, it's getting pretty burnt up in the sun, which is pretty normal for citrus if you put them out in the sun like that. But I don't water it or fertilize it or anything. So it probably needs a little hit of fertilizer. Surprisingly, the cacao right here. I'm going to use this pigeon pea as my pointing stick. This cacao, it is taking the drought better than most of my other plants. It's, you wouldn't think. I know Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, kind of says like they're pretty drought tolerant, and I'm I'm impressed. Like I see his results, but now his system's a little bit different than mine. I'm much older, but I mean, look at that. That looks pretty good to me. The only thing that I've done specific for this thing is I planted it on the, where am I? This is the west side, no, the east side of this Barbados cherry. And so it doesn't get hit by the like really hard afternoon UVs. So it's, you know, the light will come down this way, but it gets dappled light whenever it's at the most intense. So that might be why this is so successful here. But I also planted it next to this galangal ginger plant. Yeah, cool stuff. I'm excited about that. This canistel is doing all right. It's been dropping its leaves. I think it's just establishing roots. But interestingly, you know, these things can take full sun. I think of them as like mangoes, right? Yeah, they should be able to be out in full sun and take the heat. And this one seems to be suffering a little bit, but it may have been because it was in a greenhouse, and it may have not been getting as intense sunlight. So, but I'm just gonna let it tough it out. I only paid like 20 bucks for it, so it was a good deal. If it dies, then I'll just get a new one that, you know, is a little bigger. But I'm sure it'll be fine. I got the Okinawa spinach, I think is what that is. So it's just another variety of the longevity spinach, but it looks a lot more pretty. So I'll be able to mix in like the, you know, lighter greens from the longevity with the darker and purple of the Okinawa. Waimuck champion, full sun, no water, doing amazing. I don't think this ice cream bean's coming back. That's the cinnamomia that I got from brain fart, Bellamy. Healthy looking plant when it came in, but I put it in the ground and we had a freak windstorm in like March or February, and it shredded it, and it never came back. And then the heat came, and now it's just this twig in the ground. The achacha is doing really good since I put it in the ground. See, we got some beautiful new growth on it, like all around it. It's a little bit sunburnt on the older growth, but that's all right. And I let the Suriname spinach grow around the base, which I think is helping a lot. This stuff is really, really good if you want like an edible, like medium high ground cover. It tastes really good. It looks pretty, and it keeps things moist. This chocolate Carolina Reaper, or caramel Carolina Reaper, is doing really nice now. The roots are getting established. Spicy peppers are still alive, even though I'm neglecting them. Yuzu set a whole bunch of fruit, so hopefully we'll get to try that by December this year. Maple tree still has all its leaves, which is a good thing because the heat gets so intense. This is the first time I actually put it in the ground over here. I think I mentioned it used to be out in the full sun over there, and it just got torched. But really in Florida, these need shade, dappled light, I think is best for them. This is going to be a new spot for a Garcinia. I think I'm going to directly sow a seed, so I ordered some stuff from Huertas Urbanas on the forum. I got those the Garcinia seeds that he was selling, that he just listed on his website. I bought 5 of those from him, so I'm going to directly sow one there, I think. If I don't put that there, I'll put one of the Lukes, but that's up for however I feel whenever I do something. I'll probably keep the Lukes in, I don't know, maybe I'll put one of the Lukes over there, who knows, we'll see. So my lemon zest, still in stasis, like it pushed out these panicles. It's got like swelling for new growth, but this thing's been a slow grower for me, but I'm okay with that because I don't want really fast growing mango trees. Garcinia xanthochymus, full sun, bleached, but this is kind of an experiment. I'm going to leave this in full sun, see how it does versus this other one over here. This is a Brasiliensis that's growing its roots out. This xanthochymus right here is not in full sun. You see how much more green it is. I've got this garnet cherry of the Rio, giving it a little bit of shade, but it gets a good amount of sunlight, you know, up until about an hour from now. I've been planting pigeon peas all through here because this is just like really compacted soil. I mean, you can see how dry it is. So I really want to just start putting pigeon peas just to get some roots in the ground, get some green manure throughout here, and just really start building the soil up because I really want to start planting plants back here. And I felt like I haven't been able to because of how poor the soil is, but we're going to fix that. Just keep letting everything grow. This lemon guava is doing all right, still establishing roots. I tore down my yellow dragon fruit and just threw it back here. No one wanted any cuttings from me, except for a friend who I gave a couple to. This seedling jackfruit's still in here, doing pretty good. That's a directly sown one. I think snails have been eating on it, or slugs or something. Ice cream, banana. This is the Namwa, not the true blue Java, but finally starting to kick off a little bit now that it's warm. Let's see. I got this directly sown pomelo in here. Let's see how it's doing. It's doing all right. Still green. Still growing. My Valencia Pride maybe, question mark. I'm not sure what it is. I forget. Is really kicking off now. It's got a whole bunch of new growth on it. It dropped all of its fruit. So I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, it's been hot. I didn't water it. You know, it hasn't ever fruited for me, like all the way to a mature fruit before, but I think next year is probably the time, as long as the weather's right. Same with the orange sherbet mango. This one, it's got that, was it the black mold on it, on the leaves? But, you know, I don't spray any fungicide on it, and I found that, you know, this is the stuff that comes from, like when you get scale on the bottom of the leaves, and they poop out the sweet stuff, and then the mold eats the sweet stuff, and then turns moldy. You know, there's no scale on it anymore. I think now that the tree's been established, it's just not, you know, it's not an issue. I've got predator insects in here who, you know, parasitize them. But look at the new growth, and this just looks fantastic. And even, you know, the old ones, you can see how it's all flecking off. I don't know if the camera's picking that, but the sooty mold kind of just, or is it sooty mold? Whatever, the mold kind of flecks off. So I'm not too worried about it. This Gausioviana I put in the ground, pushing new growth out finally since I put it in the ground. So I'm sure it's happy here. You can see it's a little burnt up, but this is the first time that it's been in like full sun, and it's actually doing a lot better than I thought it would. Here's a close up on this Valencia Pride, which may be a bit more than I can handle. I might have to top work it eventually and add a smaller variety onto it. My gingers and turmerics are coming back after the winter. This katuk in here flowered. I don't see any little fruits on it. Let me see. It may have dropped all its fruits, but that's katuk. This lime quad's doing pretty good. It put out some new growth as soon as I put it in the ground, but it got torched from the sun, and I think it's just going to establish roots before it really pushes out growth. The Vialis hybrid is just still growing, no fruit, no flowers, turning into a monster, but it's okay. I feel like I can just prune this thing back if I need to, try to make cuttings out of it, or root some cuttings from it. This is a rooted cutting from Adam at Flying Fox Fruits. This peanut butter fruit that I got from the Manatee County sale, it's like doubled in size since I put it in the ground. It's a champion, taking the full sun. My pawpaw, my Asmina triloba, surprised me, and it's doing the best that it's ever done since I put it in the ground. And I had two. There was one over here where that mango was at, had a tree fall on it, so like that big branch there used to actually come all the way up out here, and it plopped onto the ground and took out the other pawpaw. So I have one pawpaw that, if it ever flowers, is never going to set fruit because you need two plants. So I'll probably have to, if this thing starts doing well, I will graft another branch onto it. But my avocados are doing pretty good. We've got 3 Brazos-Bell avocados on here. So we got 1, 2, and 3. Sugar apple's coming back. It's got flowers all over it. If you've never seen a sugar apple flower, here's what they look like. So I've gotten a couple fruits off this thing before, but it was in a pot. This is the first year it's been in the ground. So it's doing well. They're pretty drought tolerant, cold hardy. They die back a little bit every year, it seems like, for me. I don't know if that's because of whenever it was in a pot, I was just not taking care of it right or what, but you know, my mom's does the same thing, and so I'm just guessing that's what they do in Florida. These directly sown ice cream beans are growing slowly, or at least that one is. Seashore mangosteen starting to push out some new growth here, which is cool. And then I know I said I was done with dragon fruit, but I'm trying it out in the ground now. I took it out of the pot. I've still got the one in there that I haven't fruited yet, but I took my structure out of the pot before, and I just decided, well, let's put it in the ground and see what happens. If this doesn't work out, I'm just gonna tear this out and, I don't know, maybe turn this into a little pepper spot. I don't know, but we're gonna trellis it up, see if it doesn't rot into the ground or get killed by the sunlight. And this is the American Beauty. Ice cream bean doing all right. My seemingly dead coffee plant that never seems to die and keeps pushing out new growth. I don't water over here, and it's very hot, and the soil kind of sucks. So I'm kind of okay if it dies, but I'm hoping that, you know, this area over time, as I plant plants and they die, just gets better. There are some jackfruit seedlings in here still. Yeah, they dropped all their leaves in the drought and the heat, even though they were seedlings. And then, I don't know if you can see this, let me zoom in. Even though they were seedlings, but then they pushed out new leaves, and they're still going. So this mulberry's doing all right. This is a firebush, native firebush. I have this pathetic kumquat hybrid. This is the red Rangpur lime hybrid kumquat. It's Rangpur crossed with a kumquat. Just like does terribly. Ants are farming scale all over it. It makes fruit though, but the branches keep dying back. And it pushes out new branches and they fruit, and then it dies back next year. So I'm not expecting this tree to live too long. Just not a very healthy tree, but maybe it just needs more time. Starfruit doing okay. Here we go, Cambuca, pushing out a whole bunch of new growth. We got new leaves here. This is the Pinia edulis. New leaves coming up. So you can see it's a little burnt up from the sun, but I think it's the same thing as the Glaucia vianda. Like, it just hadn't experienced that level of intense heat yet. But now it's going to push out these new leaves that are much more resilient. Let's see. Peppers. Cherry of the Rio, garnet there, red seedling there. They're doing all right. This lemon drop mangosteen is finally pushing out some new growth for this year. So it's looking good. Starting to grow. Hopefully this is its year to really kick off. It's been in the ground for a year, and it hasn't really grown much since I put it in the ground, but now it's really growing. So we'll see. I'm hoping it doubles in size this year. Got all these potted Garcinia, Humbronianas, the seashore mangosteens that are doing all right. Got a dead mangosteen there. That was the Madruno, I think, the bumpy one. I've got all sorts of tomatoes growing in here that planted themselves. That within them are my imbies. So I've got one imbi there, another imbi there. I've got this imbi that is struggling. I think it's from the heat. I'm not sure what its deal is, but I've got another imbi there. So hopefully out of, if that fourth imbi dies, you know, one of the three will be a female, hopefully. But we'll see. I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing is I put this Pinia Oriana Bronca Mel on the ground here. You can't really see it until I zoom in. And it's doing fantastic. But yeah, I think I'm going to cut it here. The video is 35 minutes, much better than an hour. But that's my May update.